I've been riding for 17 years now, and I've experienced a lot of mistakes, frustrations, and lessons I had to learn the hard way. So recently I sat down to consider what advice I'd go back and give myself, or any rider working to improve their skills while staying safe. The following 21 honest lessons is what I came up with. Whatever your experience, I feel sure in saying you'll take something away from this video. Number 1. Grow a pair and send it isn't the answer. This is the idea that you just need to take a brave pill and force your way past your current riding barriers, but this is completely counterproductive. Yes, there is an element of pushing outside your comfort zone to break down barriers, but relying solely on aggression to help you do that is only going to make riding more difficult, leading to overriding, mistakes, and crashes. Even on track, calmness beats aggression. Staying calm and in control as you work to improve your riding is going to bring much better results while leading to far fewer mistakes. Number 2. Vision will save your life. There is no other skill that will impact your riding as much as your vision. Practicing good visual skill can be completely transformative to how you feel, the level you can ride to, and how safe it makes you. And I would always put it at the very top of the skills to focus on if it's your goal to reach higher levels of confidence and control in your riding. If you haven't put much focus on this skill in particular, I would highly recommend learning to use your eyes correctly. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes. Number 3. Stop following advice so rigidly. It's great to learn about fundamental skill, but it can be very easy to fall into the trap of trying to apply a specific way of doing something to every situation. For example, saying that you should trowel the brake to the apex. That might work on some corners, but it wouldn't work on a hairpin with a very late apex, for example. Or saying that you need to steer as quick as possible. That might work in a fast chicane, but not in a high-speed entry 180-degree corner, for instance. Yes, there are fundamentals we want to follow, but there can be a lot of different ways to apply them depending on the situation in question. And this has only got worse for riders since social media and YouTube, because there are far more voices now with different people saying different things. Which leads nicely onto number 4. Most people haven't got a clue. When I first started riding, I used to take advice from anyone that I could. If they were riding to a better level than me, I just assumed they knew what they were talking about. But after spending my early riding years immersing myself in how to ride properly, focusing on just a few of the main voices at the time, I realized that most people just don't know what they're talking about. Focus on those who can truly demonstrate that they know what they're talking about and ignore everyone else. Do that and you won't go too far wrong. Number 5. Don't skimp on tires. This is something I did early in my track life because I was doing it on a shoestring budget. But riding on old knackered tires or tires that aren't fit for sporty riding, it isn't going to do anything to improve your confidence in what's underneath you. At the very least, buy tires that perform well for the type of riding you're doing. If that's just sporty road riding, then a decent sports touring tire is probably okay. Or for the track, buy tires that were designed with track riding in mind. The first time I stepped up to proper sticky track tires, it was a complete revelation. Because I now realized what good grip actually felt like, and it gave me so much more confidence to raise my level. Number 6. Plateaus are normal. As riders are trying to improve, eventually they'll reach a point of hitting a plateau with their riding level. This is completely normal. When trying to improve, you'll be consciously putting in effort to practice particular skills, and through that, you'll make progress. But once you can perform that task and you've expanded your comfort zone to that new level, typically, riders will settle into that new comfort zone. The plateau happens when you no longer know what to focus on to improve as a rider, so you stop deliberate practice, and naturally your level stagnates. The solution is to simply reevaluate your riding, find an area you want to improve, and then put in conscious effort to improve it. It's the space between these periods of conscious and deliberate improvement where plateaus happen. So, you aren't failing because you aren't moving forward. It's just a natural part of improvement. 7. Learning basic setup isn't that difficult. Just like tires can make all the difference to how the bike feels underneath you, so can having a proper setup. Now, your first step should be getting a base setup from a qualified professional, but after that, I'd encourage you to spend some time learning how the adjusters on your bike work and how they change the geometry and behavior of your bike. It's not as scary as you think, and learning it and making changes yourself can really improve the connection you have with it. Number 8. Ride your own ride. One of the biggest dangers to riders, particularly on the road, is being pulled too far outside of your ability zone by the riders around you. If riding with others is taking you far outside what you feel comfortable with, to the point where your riding is feeling erratic and on the edge, you are far more likely to put yourself in bad situations. Now, on the track, using other riders to sensibly expand your comfort zone is a valuable tool. But if you're trying to do too much too soon, or the red mist is descending and putting you back into that aggressive riding state, you're going to have the same problems. There's nothing to prove here. Ride your own ride, and if you have to, really consider who you're riding with. Number 9. Slow progress is normal. I've been helping riders progress on the track for over 14 years now, and one of the main complaints I see from those wanting to improve is the frustration that progress is going too slow. But getting good at riding takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And while you will see examples of people that can just jump on a bike and go fast very quickly, in my experience, the riders that can switch off that fear part of their brain and do that, they tend to have far more crashes than everyone else. If it's your goal to reach a higher level of riding while staying safe, it's going to take time. And this next one can definitely help with the frustrations around your progress. Number 10, stop comparing yourself to others. It's very easy to look at other riders and think that they are progressing faster than you, or that you should be going faster than them because of X, Y, or Z. But there could be many reasons why someone has progressed more than you, all of which will fall outside of them simply being more capable. Constantly comparing yourself to other riders is only going to make you feel worse about your own riding. Instead, take the joy from the process of improving yourself while acknowledging just how far you have actually come, and you'll probably feel much better about your situation. Number 11. Seat time isn't enough. Another common line I hear is that you just need to get out there and ride, thinking that more time in the saddle will magically make you a better rider. Mindless seat time will definitely help in some ways, like improving your sensitivity to speed or improving your conditioning to actually ride. But if you don't understand or correctly apply the fundamentals of riding, just riding more isn't going to get you there. However, conscious practice of fundamental skill over time will. Number 12. Stop caring about how you look. In all my years of doing this, the skill that riders focus on the most is body position. But how you look on a bike is not as important as you think. Now, how you feel and your ability to move around, use the controls, and give the bike what it wants to stay stable are very important. But you don't have to look like a MotoGP rider to achieve those things. Stop wasting your time tinkering with your position on the bike to look a certain way. It's not helping you improve. Number 13. Don't be lazy with your development. If you want to improve as a rider, like I said, it takes time and effort. This means learning about fundamental skill, putting plans in place for how you're going to practice, and then taking conscious action. That isn't to say that you need to spend every second on the bike trying to improve. But if you do want to improve and you're not putting in effort to do that, you're just not going to. In my experience, people don't find it difficult to consume information. The missing link is usually between the stuff they're consuming and what they do when they get out riding. A lot of people will just go out and ride and just hope it all falls into place, but that's just not how it works. You need to have a plan of exactly what you're trying to improve, then put yourself in a position to consciously do the things you need to make an improvement. And on that note, if you're a track rider that's trying to improve and you like this approach to rider development, I've actually got a free workshop which breaks down the proper pathway to go from complete beginner on track to high level rider. If you want to understand what it really takes to get to those high levels quickly while also staying safe, definitely check that out. Alright, number 14. The fastest riders aren't always the best teachers. There's a common misconception in the riding world that you aren't worth listening to if you haven't achieved success at a high level. But riding and coaching are very different skill sets. While I'm sure there are very high level riders that also make great coaches, it's not their speed that makes them one. It's their ability to work with a rider to help them understand how they can improve and then helping them do that. And as a personal example, my worst ever experience was with an ex-British superbike racer, while my best was with someone who had never raced at all. Don't let a rider's speed determine who you listen to. Number 15, riding motorcycles fast is a workout. And the faster the motorcycle, the harder the workout. And I say that because in my early years, I remember people talking about being calm and relaxed and smooth. And I started to think that it should feel easy and that I must be doing something wrong because for me it felt really physically demanding. But don't mistake being calm and relaxed for putting in no effort. Riding motorcycles is a full body workout, and the truth is, if you want it to feel easier and you want to ride for longer with less fatigue, being in better shape will help a lot. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you just need to be realistic about what level you can really reach. Number 16, your tires have the grip. If you are using tires fit for purpose, then the grip is there. And this is most aimed at riders that are struggling with lean angle barriers in particular. Riders struggle to lean the bike over because they're fearful that they're going to suddenly lose grip. But if your fundamental application is good, then a bike will quite happily sit at full lean angle all day long without issues. And this makes learning about and practicing good fundamental skill even more important because at that point it's just about trusting your own technique as opposed to trusting the tires underneath you. And while we're on the subject, let's check off one of the main tire myths. You can't run off the edge of a tire. I remember hearing this one a lot in my early track life. Because riders were feeling a bit of movement at higher lean angles, they would say, "Oh, I was leaning too far and running off the edge of the tire." But just because you don't have any chicken strips, it doesn't mean the bike can't lean anymore. The truth is, you don't have to lean that far before scrubbing right to the edge. And tire technology is designed to deform as you lean over further and further. And the contact patch actually gets bigger the more that you lean. The tyre was probably moving because of poor technique, but again, modern sports tyres will happily sit at maximum lean without issues. With maximum lean basically being when part of the motorcycle touches the ground. The size of your chicken strips does not determine the lean angle potential of your bike. Number 18, you need to record your riding. You might think you understand what's happening during a ride, but what you feel can be very far away from what's real. And this is why recording your riding is a very effective tool. Yes, we definitely want to factor in what we're sensing during our rides and how it makes us feel, but it should be paired with the hard data you get from video, where you can look at your riding in isolation and analyze it in greater detail. Recording yourself will be a massive source of inspiration when it comes to finding the weaknesses in your riding and what you need to focus on next. Number 19, a new bike can make riding less enjoyable. I think it's a biker rite of passage. We own a bike for a bit, we get bored of it, our head gets turned by something else thinking that that's going to improve our experience, and then we go buy something bigger, better, and usually more expensive. But while you think a new bike is going to improve your situation and make you happier, once the novelty has worn off, you're going to be right back where you were, and sometimes it can even make riding less enjoyable. Because as you gradually upgrade your bike over time, where usually those bikes get faster, more serious, and more expensive, you start to approach your riding more seriously too, and you become more protective of the bike itself. But having ridden many different types of bikes over the years, most of my favorite times have come when I've had less powerful and less capable bikes. Now, I don't begrudge anyone for wanting change and to experience different bikes. But just don't get caught in the trap of thinking that something new will magically improve your riding or how much joy you get from it. Because after that shine wears off, it probably won't. Number 20, learn maintenance. Similar to learning about basic setup, I feel that learning basic maintenance can be hugely rewarding. Things like changing brake pads, flushing the brake lines, changing your oil, or replacing simpler parts. When I started riding, I didn't know how to do any of those things, but I found a guide, I jumped in, and I did it, improving my mechanical skills over time. And it goes without saying that there's still things that I would definitely recommend a specialist do, but you can probably do a lot more than you think, and again it just adds another layer of enjoyment that comes from owning and riding a motorcycle. And then finally, number 21, don't take it too seriously. While I'm a big advocate for conscious effort to develop as a rider, having fun and enjoying this hobby is the main thing. So try not to be too focused on your progress, how you're not where you want to be, how you don't have the lap time you want or the bike you want. The joy of riding comes from the riding. And I've seen too many people strip that away because they're desperately chasing some outcome, to the point where they're left with nothing but disappointment each time they ride because they haven't achieved what they wanted to. Striving to be better is great, but if it gets to the point of stripping away the fun, you've gone too far. Now, if you are one of those riders trying to improve while staying safe, I definitely recommend checking out this video here, where after analysing 127 crashes, I break down how to avoid every single one of them. And it covers off all the main ways that riders crash. Outside of that, thank you so much for joining me for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.